Okay,
Wait.
we are live, and of course a garbage truck is showing up.
I think it's the street sweeper. Hey everyone, welcome to Hack Shack Studios. I'm RT Bear, 35-year comic book veteran, working mainly for Marvel and DC, but I've done a couple indie things too. I've done a little book called Black and White and Chrono Mechanics. And as always, I have my lovely and talented assistant Taylor. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good, Art. How about yourself?
Good. I got mesmerized by the sound of the street sweeper.
I was watching it because I had a paranoia it was going to go by my car or something. But...
Yeah, it doesn't take much just to distract me. So there we go. So as promised, we're gonna do maybe an hour of just hanging out, talking to you guys, and I'm gonna be finishing up my drawing.
You mean
this drawing?
This drawing? Whoa, look at it.
Yeah, that drawing. I got a couple things to add, but it's pretty much done.
Look at that, you guys. You guys have watched this. They've watched us come together from like step one.
Right now, over me.
You're killing it.
Killing it. Let's zoom in.
Ooh, hatches. Art, what page is that, and what is it from?
It's 49. It's a page from Black and White.
The page 49, a splash page from
Yes.
Black and White. Now the sweeper's going on this side of the road.
To make up more noise. Can you guys hear that?
Sierra Whiskey's here,
Hey, Sierra.
and we got a P-Money.
P-Money.
Welcome.
Welcome one. Welcome all. There's plenty of room here.
There is. Invite your friends. They'll be our friends.
The more the merrier.
So what's going on, Art? How have things been since the storm of yesterday?
Man, that was crazy, right?
Yeah, that was weird.
Somebody said it even hailed where they were.
I heard
got so
that.
cold, yeah. Or did you say that this morning? Maybe you said it.
No, I think yesterday I was like, I wonder if it's gonna hail, and then I guess it did.
I guess it did.
It was pretty crazy. If you guys were in the chat yesterday, you could hear the light thunder for a while.
Something wicked was coming.
It was pretty cool. P-Money says, I need a bigger screen. Art's close-up effects on a smartphone are not as powerful as I wish.
Ooh, I like to be powerful.
These streams are meant to be watched on the big screen.
The big screen. We should rent out a big screen and have a preview.
Ooh, a preview of what?
I don't know, of one of our upcoming books.
You mean like Chrono Mechanics or Black and White?
Or Black and White, yes.
Pretty cool. Hack Shack's got a lot on the schedule. Yesterday was unexpected little showcase of Chrono Mechanics. If you guys haven't seen,
Impromptu.
How did you feel about that?
I felt great about it actually. It's weird because you just never know when to talk about things, when not to talk about things. Being the creative people behind it, you don't always think about the way to help sell it or get the word out there.
Yeah.
Because Taylor and I are so busy drawing the book and writing it that sometimes those things you just don't really spend time with.
If you hear clicks, it's because I'm putting the finishing touches on page 36. So I'm trying to pull my weight while Art is finishing the splash and I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's not going to be that easy. Should I show them what you're working on?
Yeah.
I have.
Why not?
I have it somewhere. You guys, by the way, this is. Oh, the camera's over here. This is like only.
Don't show them all of it.
One of the books. There's another book filled with pages from Black and White Remastered. So let me see if I can find the page that Taylor's bringing together now.
Many a book.
It's this one right here.
That's the one.
So she's adding the blacks to this one.
And hopefully we can wrap this page.
So 36 is almost done.
It's close, you guys. You're here to witness. Sierra Whiskey says screen capped.
Screen capped. Well, you don't know what they're saying. They're probably saying, "Holy shit, a giant robot!"
And you know what's better than a screen cap? owning the book and just reading it in context.
Yes, Sierra.
we appreciate the interest, of course.
I don't think that's his real name.
No?
No.
You never met a Sierra?
His last name's Whiskey. Yeah, I'm from the Whiskeys.
The Whiskey fam.
Can you imagine, like, it's some kind of award ceremony or something like that, and the award goes to
Sierra Whiskey.
That would actually work. That'd be pretty cool.
Sierra Whiskey says, "Okay, Art, we're still working on a raccoon book, but we stumbled across an even crazier story. Stand up for Top Gun meets Independence Day with a raccoon and coyote pilots." What do you think?
It's the Coyote and Roadrunner. Meep meep.
Did you have a favorite Looney Tune?
I did like the Coyote and Roadrunner. I liked the song too. It wasn't like Roadrunner, the coyote catches you.
Beep beep.
Roadrunner, if he catches you, you're through.
Did you want him to win?
The coyote?
Yeah.
No, I always thought he was a jerk.
As a kid, I always wanted him to win. I always wanted Tom to get Jerry too. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't think Tom was as much of a jerk as the coyote though.
There were moments where, like, Tom was straight up minding his own business, and, like, Jerry would just come in and patronize him.
Yeah, he's kind of baited.
Jerry was kind of a jerk. But you're right. The coyote he brought it upon himself, because Roadrunner was just trying to do his thing. We tackle the tough subjects.
A friend of mine had his roommate wrote in Hollywood. John Morey wrote comic books too. He had an idea. I think he sold it to Disney. Actually, it was kind of a live action Roadrunner.
Really?
Yeah, and so they were with muscle cars. So the backdrop was the same. It's like some kind of like New Mexico, with the mesas and like the different like rock formations and stuff like that. And so it was some kind of, I forget what the crux of the story was, but one of them had something the other wanted or some kind of thing like that, and so they were just chasing each other through New Mexico deserts and stuff, and they actually had a muscle car. I think Dodge did. It was called a Roadrunner.
Really?
Yeah, and they actually had the Roadrunner. If you guys look it up, the Roadrunners, instead of feet, it had like mag tires. Like it had wheels.
That's cool.
So it's like the head and then the body and then giant tires. And I think that was the logo. And so I think they were fairly decent cars. I don't remember. So, but I thought the brilliance of it, and when I say the casting, it's gonna seem perfect, is it had Christopher Lloyd
oh my god,
and Michael J. Fox.
What?
Yeah, so they were the Coyote and Roadrunner.
I love this idea. Why didn't it happen?
He sold it. I think the last, when I talked to him last, he said that, this was years and years ago, that somehow like Michael Jackson got involved.
What?
Yeah, so I don't know whatever happened.
Did you ever tell the Michael Jackson black and white story?
Oh, at Golden Apple?
Yeah, with you and Pamela.
Yeah, we were doing a black and white signing at Golden Apple. Golden Apple's like a big Melrose. It's like the big comic shop here in Southern California. It's on Melrose, and so we were promoting the original black and white in '94, I guess. And so these two big guys, kind of Men in Black looking dudes, come up, and they had a stack of black and white books, and they didn't fit in at all, and I forget what we were talking about, and so then they finally confessed that they were buyers for Michael Jackson, and they told us how when Michael has something that he likes, he has a crew of people that just go out and get it for him. So he heard about this book, Black and White, and he needed like 1 billion copies of it. Yeah, it wasn't just one copy. There's like a bunch of copies of it.
I wonder if the Jackson family's gonna be buying them off the Indiegogo in bulk.
I could just see the Jackson estate auction. And these black and white comics based on the Michael Jackson song.
Oh man, they got the issue 1s, which are the most rare. Let's contact them and see if we can get those.
The Michael Jackson inspired comic. Black and white.
That's hilarious. Alpha Proto says, so that's where he got that name for that song from.
Yeah, he ripped me off. It wasn't the other way around. But when I did first pitch this to Rob Liefeld at Extreme when I worked there, he was like, black and white, like the Jackson song. I dig it.
That's hilarious.
I still remember that's exactly what he said.
What did you say? Just like, yeah.
I was like, yeah, just like the Jackson song.
Did you read my pitch? That's funny.
I didn't care as long as I got greenlit to do my book.
Muttman says, Jerry was a douche. I did like Jerry's banjo playing uncle though. Oh, he was cool.
Jerry had that like French guy too, right? He was like from the Musketeers or something.
Yeah, he did. I just remember the uncle because he had like the giant like mustache. And
did he have a hat?
Yes, it covered his eyes.
That's right.
And there was like somebody edited the clip from The Shining, where Jack is like breaking into the bathroom, and he sticks his face through that gap. But they like edited it so it's the Jerry's uncle going that yo-dee da yo-doo, like playing his banjo, and she's just like screaming. It's pretty great. That's what we need the internet for.
Monsieur Pussycats. It was the French. God. It was right. It was like his French cousin. Like Jerry had all these cousins.
I mean, he is a mouse, so I guess it's plausible.
They were reproducing at a rapid fire pace.
I forgot about the French one until he just mentioned it.
Monsieur Pussycat. And he'd like poke him with his sword.
He did have like a full musketeer outfit.
Right. Oh, that's what he'd say. He'd go like, "On guard, Monsieur Pussycat."
Art, did you ever see the movie? This is random, but we've been working a lot, so Art and I watch a lot of random stuff to listen to. And there's a free movie. It's free on YouTube. The Man in the Iron Mask with Leonardo DiCaprio.
I always liked the story. It's written by what is that? The Three Musketeers guy, right? I forget his name now.
Yeah, I guess it's one of the like official stories.
Yeah.
And the story is like a great pitch.
Dumont, or what is his name? Something Dumont.
Have you seen the movie?
I know the story. I think I read the book when I was a kid.
That movie has a really intriguing story, and like, I guess the plot, I should say, is intriguing, but it has some of the best, like, cheesiest Hollywood lines I've ever heard. And I don't know if they're in the book. I highly doubt it, but if you get some time, I recommend just watching. It's free on YouTube, and you can watch the full movie.
Yeah, I'll watch it. There's actually a good version with this guy Richard Chamberlain, I think, from the past. And he's in it, and it's pretty good.
It's a very intriguing concept.
I always liked those, like the Three Musketeers stories and stuff like that. All for one, one for all.
Yeah, they're badasses.
They were like, they're like the Green Beret of the time.
That movie has one of the best lines where I think it's D'Artagnan. He was the one that was like in love with the Queen, right?
Yeah.
He's talking to the Queen, and he says, "Being in love with you was treason against France, but not being in love with you was treason against my heart."
Ooh, I like it. No, I don't.
It was hilarious. And you get to see a young Leonardo DiCaprio play the king.
Which is the only way to see Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
He's porked out, man.
His head got wide.
He's filling out. What is the new Tarantino film that actually looks pretty good? It's like the 60s God, what is the film age? It's like the film like Hollywood in the '60s, I guess. God,
Yeah.
what is it called? I forgot what it's called.
It's called the movie. Isn't it called like Once Upon a Time in L.A.?
Yeah, in Hollywood or something. Yeah.
It looks very good.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan of Quentin Tarantino films? Someone actually suggested him for directing Black and White in our last video.
No, not for that. Yeah, I like his films a lot.
Brad Pitt, who co-stars in that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, I think they're trying to make him look like Robert Redford, and oh my gosh, he really does look like him. He has the big sideburns and stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty fitting.
He looks of the time.
Yeah, he does. That movie looks pretty good. You know what movie doesn't look pretty good? Or maybe it will, is the new Terminator movie that we talked about in our last video.
I think it... I don't know. I want to say it looks good. Whether it will be good or not, I don't know. I'm actually still out.
Yeah, if you guys didn't catch it this morning, we did a react to the latest Terminator movie, which I think we said it was like the 5th Terminator movie. There's been so many.
Yeah, I think it is the 5th, yeah.
Which is incredibly strange to think about.
Well, it's a 25-year franchise, right?
Yeah. It's something to be said that James Cameron will be working on it again.
And your favorite writer.
Goyer.
David Goya.
He was... I'm not saying he was responsible for the Man of Steel being bad, but he played his role, I'll just say.
Oh, he played his role big time.
I blame everyone involved.
I'm surprised those guys are still getting work. Well, one thing that did come out of our conversation about the new Terminator movie is why does Hollywood keep hiring the same people?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is David Goyer still getting work? Is he that great?
Yeah. It is really weird.
Can you name one David Goyer film that you think was incredible?
I actually can't. I think I've hated everything he's worked on.
I think he wrote and directed one of the Blade films, right?
Did he do the third?
Maybe.
What do you think of the Blade films overall? Because they're actually kind of like the redheaded stepchild in Marvel cinematic history that nobody talks about. And I don't think I've ever asked you.
I liked them. I thought they were okay for what they were. It's kind of like saying, well, what do you? Well, it's a notch, a big notch up above from like Ghost Rider and some of the early.
Electra.
Oh, I never even saw that, Amanda. My daughter just chimed in.
That movie's rough.
We don't talk about Electra.
Well, as soon as they showed, wasn't there some kind of like tattoos that come to life or something? I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, the one bad guy has like a wolf come to life on his chest.
This is kind of silly.
That movie's really weird. I actually want you to see it because
You want me to see all these weird movies?
Because I want to hear your take on it. Because like the movie opens as if it's like a sequel, but not a Daredevil sequel. Like it's Elektra, some guy, and a little girl that's not her child, and she's like protecting them, and they basically like allude to a whole story
that you don't get to see?
Yeah, and again, like when they do those, you know how you're like, isn't that the story you're supposed to tell? Like it feels like that. It's really weird.
I want to see that movie.
Like, I don't remember why she was protecting them. I don't remember the backstory. It was like watching a weird fanfic come to life.
It looked absolutely horrible. I thought she was the wrong choice for Elektra to begin with.
Oh, yeah?
You talk about whitewashing in Hollywood. That movie was... Yeah, get a Greek actress in there. What the heck?
Well, that's kind of Elektra's thing. They couldn't even do that.
They tied it into, like, isn't it like her father was Greek? It was like a Greek mafia kind of thing as a backdrop, right? But yet she's like this,
Jennifer Garner.
you know, Valley Girl.
The funniest part about that Elektra movie is they do, like, you know, the fake out hero death. Where the little girl's like, Elektra, you have to be okay. And she's like laying there pretending to be dead. And then the fake out goes on it goes on way too long. It's really funny. And they're like in some kind of weird temple. I don't know. It's a bizarre movie. Level 3 said the first Blade movie was cool. I don't remember a whole lot about the first one.
I remember maybe it was the Goyer one. Didn't Mike Mignola did some like designs, because there was a whole like climactic scene, and I was like, man, this seems like a Hellboy scene to me.
Man, I don't remember. You watched the Daredevil show, right? I think with
I saw like maybe a third of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah, likewise. Someone in the chat said that Elektra in the show wasn't much better, but I never got to any of that part in the show.
I'm just gonna be real honest. I don't like any superhero type stuff TV. I don't like any real sci-fi TV. It just never ever really works for me.
I think it's too hard to do. They're pretty high budget concepts for a TV thing.
Sometimes I'm not even sure if it's the budget as much as it is, for me, just the way they feel like they have to write TV. It becomes very stagnant, and the action kind of gets stagnant, and it becomes more, it's like less, it's more talking heads and less action, maybe. And maybe that is because of budget. Maybe you're right now that I think about it. Maybe because I was thinking budget as far as not being able to do special effects good or whatever, but maybe it is budget, just that they can't afford too much action.
But as far as sci-fi, I think it's like, you know, they can't really do that kind of stuff. But I don't know.
It becomes more talking heads, more, you know, explaining things. I thought Westworld, but those are like HBO productions and things like that. I think those are exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those are more exceptions to the rule than actually the rule.
Yeah, and they definitely have a bigger budget and more of a cinematic. I don't know how I would put that. Yeah, they are the exceptions, but it's weird because there's no reason why Netflix can't be the exception to that. And in some cases it is, but not in the case of the Marvel series. It seems like.
Are all the all the Marvel series stuff was done on Netflix, right?
Yeah, and now it's all going to be moved to the Disney
except
streaming.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? That was ABC or something?
Yeah, and have you ever watched that show?
I never did, just because of what we're talking about.
There was, I was eating recently at a restaurant and they had it playing on TV. And, speaking of low budget, do you ever see things on TV where you're like, you know, if you can't do it, just don't do it at all?
Oh, all the time.
That show was on, and they had some characters from the future. I guess it's like a dystopian future. And this chick was wearing, like, an almost unpainted hockey, like, elbow piece. And, like,
some poor guy in wardrobe is like, you have 10 minutes, you gotta get her a costume.
Yeah, like a sprayed chrome, like, skateboarder's knee pad. And I was just like, what is this show? This looks terrible. And sure enough, it was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then one guy had a Nerf gun that was, like, painted and weathered.
Wow.
It was pretty hilarious, actually. But I don't think it was meant to be.
I wonder how that...
What I'm saying is you might be onto something as far as this whole not doing it on TV thing.
I wonder how the new Disney streaming Marvel shows are going to be. Because they're getting, like, even like the Mandalorian show and things, they're getting some bigger name people involved, but I haven't heard like what the budgets are going to be on those shows yet.
Me neither.
Because they're actually getting the actors, you know, that created the characters in the cinematic universe. And the Mandalorian stuff it's Jon Favreau's behind it, right?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. They got him to do a streaming service type thing like that. So it must be pretty. They must be spending some money on that stuff.
Yeah, that's the credibility I'm giving it.
I'm interested just because it's Jon Favreau.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, yeah, I'm not even going to hold it against him was the Cowboys Aliens thing. I think that's the weakest link in his resume, but I thought that had it had a lot of good stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I fault that show is they just didn't seem to care about the alien part of the Cowboys and Aliens. Like all the cowboy stuff, man, they had it down. Like, it was really cool. But the alien stuff, it wasn't that great.
Yeah, I agree.
It was kind of like what were they, like turtle monsters? But it was kind of it was kind of like oh heck, what was it? What was that show?
Give me the pitch.
I can't think. I'll just go on to something else and it'll come back to me. But yeah, it wasn't that good. Oh, like Signs.
Yes.
Like Signs was like all the setup, all the characters really cool, but like the aliens were stupid.
Yeah, definitely.
Like water? It's a water planet.
How did they get here not knowing that?
Yeah, we're gonna try to invade a water planet and we don't even have raincoats. Like they're a sophisticated alien race that hasn't even figured out how to protect themselves from water.
It'd be like if we tried to invade a volcano. Or like, oh no, we didn't know that we could make it.
We didn't know that heat would burn our skin off. This is nuts.
Well, I guess we should have planned.
Maybe we should have planned better.
Yeah, it was
weird.
It was really weird.
So, yeah, it's for me it's the same thing that and what was it in Cowboys and Aliens? It was like gold.
Yeah.
We want your gold. And I was like, really? Gold?
I guess because it's like a good conductor. I don't know. That was the same plot. I just realized that they used all the Scientology stuff that aliens want gold.
Oh, really?
Yeah, remember in Battlefield Earth, the aliens in that movie wanted to get gold.
So are you saying Scott Rosenberg, who created the comic book, may be a Scientologist?
Maybe.
Because that's what I'm hearing.
I mean, I don't want to put I don't want to put that out there, but I'm just saying it could be.
Scott has enough strikes against him. We don't need to bring that into the whole mix.
Or maybe in real life aliens just want gold. Maybe they're onto something that's actually true.
I thought they wanted the crystal skull back.
Those are dimensional beings, Amanda.
Amanda.
They're aliens.
How dare you?
I thought that was the whole point of that terrible movie.
No, they were dimensional beings.
Wait, that was Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about Cowboys and Aliens.
I know, but you said gold. Aliens want gold. Apparently they also wanted crystal.
Hey everybody, Pamela's here.
Hey, Pamela's here. What's that?
Hey, look what Lynn gave me.
Well, let me see. I'll show everybody so they
They're
know.
salt and pepper shakers.
Here, hand them to me so I can break them.
Aww.
The salt is snow and the pepper is sand.
So, my wife
It's very cute.
collects salt and pepper shakers.
Bring them to her at the next Comic Con for all of your salt and pepper shakers.
Are those adorable?
With cactus and a Christmas tree or a pine tree.
Yes.
Very cool.
They
Are those adorable or what?
Those are adorable. And look, let me have it back. They look like part of a female anatomy.
Which
Huh?
part is that?
Oh,
Just kidding.
Nothing in boobs.
Ugh.
I did not say it. I just showed it.
Those are so cute.
Those are cool. You have a good tea?
Yes, we did. It was awesome. Bye, everyone.
They say later. Later, chica.
I know.
I was trying to get your guys' reply, but I accidentally disliked our own videos. I had to go back.
Oh man. Now we're gonna drop
I fixed it. Make sure.
our algorithm.
Make sure you guys like the video to help boost our views here. It always helps.
We do need to boost our views.
What should we do?
I don't know.
I mean, a behind-the-scenes look at a functioning comic book studio isn't enough.
I know. What the heck?
What can we do? Live portfolio reviews of 35-year comic book veteran isn't enough?
All I can think of is payola.
Ooh. What's that mean?
We just start paying them to watch our show.
Maybe I shouldn't have said ooh then.
You were intrigued. That's okay.
I couldn't help it. Daredevil Season 1 was amazing. Great fighting scenes, and the Kingpin was top tier, says Muttman.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I didn't get through it, though. I thought the setup was really good. I thought all the casting was really good. I thought at first that guy that they got to play Matt Murdock, I didn't think it was going to work just visually.
Mm.
But when you watch him and you see the whole thing done, he's really good. The actor for Foggy was good. I always thought that Jon Favreau would be the perfect Foggy Nelson. I never saw him as much as Happy Hogan, because Happy Hogan is more like a big bruiser type.
Yeah.
But I always thought he would be a good Foggy Nelson. But
yeah.
The casting was really good on that show.
It was. I think you and I stopped watching it at around the same moment, just by chance too, which was weird.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I didn't see the costume stuff when he puts the costume on.
Yeah, I don't know. It was, as far as the Marvel Netflix shows, it's probably one of the better ones I've heard, but its competition is stuff like Jessica Jones, and no offense if you guys like Jessica Jones, but I didn't think that was very fierce competition.
Well, I hope I'm not poo-pooing on anybody, but that Iron Fist, which was always one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time when I was a kid, man, that show was god-awful. That actor, this is what we're saying. There's so many people out there that need work, that want work, that are really, really talented, and why don't they hire those guys?
Yeah, how did that guy get the job for Iron Fist when you know that there's probably martial arts guys that could be doing that and doing it really well?
Yeah, from what I hear, that actor was I don't even know how to fight and do martial arts. I'm not even sure what the criteria to hire that guy was.
Yeah.
I've heard him interviewed, and he's just well, I don't know. I had to learn it all on the fly.
Not a particularly good actor.
Yeah, he's not even a good actor.
So, what were we really getting from that experience? I don't know. It was 25. What is this? Oh, they hired the guy for his haircut, says James Hayes.
Even that I was willing to look the other way and watch that darn show.
I thought they were setting it up, though, because when they first showed him, he had long hair and he also had a beard because he was missing. So I thought, they're gonna have him grow his hair out and his beard, then they're gonna shave it down. You know what I mean? In the course of the story, I guess.
I think he may be talking about the perm. He's got curly hair, right?
He does have curly hair, yeah. But I thought they were gonna shave it off, give him a
okay.
transformation. But that didn't happen, so none of it happened. How far in that show did you get, Art? Because I heard that most people dropped it on episode 1.
I probably got to episode 2 and then maybe halfway through episode 3. I thought the supporting cast was horrible. I thought the premise was okay. Wasn't it oh no, the setup was Danny Rand's father's business partner that was the one that betrayed them, right? Is that how it went down?
He found out because they stole the company from his family, right?
Right, but he also figures out that his family was killed by that guy. It was all staged or something to look like an accident. But yeah, the ends were that he takes the company.
Which, now that I think about it, I know that there is some element of that in Iron Fist in the source material, but that sounds a lot like the Arrow TV show.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's exactly the premise that they used for the Arrow TV show. Yeah, because Green Arrow, he wasn't a kid. You know, I think they made him a kid in Arrow, but in the original comic, he wasn't. He was the guy. He was the guy that created the Fortune, right, in the comic. But in the Arrow TV series, he was a kid or something, right?
Yeah, he got trapped on an island or something and was there for like years. He was stranded or something. It was pretty much Iron Fist. I don't know if that's a part of any kind of retelling of Green Arrow's origin.
It was. I think, if I remember right, I think in the comics, they redid his origin, like a year one thing. And I think he was stranded on an island, and he taught himself how to use a bow and all that stuff.
To survive.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that is from...
Like a Robinson Crusoe kind of idea.
And it's not a bad idea.
But, if Arrow's on the air and you're going to create a new show, shouldn't you try to change it up a little bit?
I mean, at least consider it, right? Like, that is going to be a competitor.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not a fan of Arrow, but I know that it does have a fan base of people that it's kind of in pop culture where people know that stuff.
Yeah.
Muttman says, Iron Fist was the worst show that Marvel has ever been involved with. Absolute trash. I think it single-handedly killed the Marvel streaming shows.
I would not put it past them. And on top of that, this is what it did. I wanted to check out, because was it Luke Cage that came out after that?
Yes.
Because that actor looks pretty cool, actually, the one that they got for Luke Cage. I thought he looked the part. And I just didn't even give that thing a chance because of freaking Iron Fist. And then I also knew that, at some point they were going to do the Heroes for Hire stuff, because I have a little bit of connection to that. It was a Hack Shack project that Pasquale Ferry penciled and Jaime Mendoza, who worked at Hack Shack, inked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so it was a really good book. It was really cool. So I always liked the Hero for Hire idea.
It's a cool. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I'll say it's a cool team.
Yeah, I guess it was Heroes for Hire.
I don't. It's really weird because the cinematic one kind of seemed like they were trying to do that, but they call them the Defenders.
Yeah, and that's another thing where I always loved the Defenders team, and then they used the Defenders instead of Heroes for Hire. Why? Why did you do that?
Yeah, and Heroes for Hire more describes what they are anyway.
Yeah, I would have used that name.
It's a good name. The Inhumans was the absolute worst Marvel show, said James.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even watch that thing. It looked like a car wreck. My friend worked on that show. I felt so bad.
Oh, really? You know someone who worked on it?
Mike worked on it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I thought that it didn't... Only the pilot came out, though, right?
I'm not sure.
That's
how far removed from it I am.
Because I had heard, like, they released the pilot and it got such bad buzz that they didn't pursue it after that.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
All I can think of is that terrible Lockjaw. That was...
Well, I'm sorry, but to illustrate your point about budget, how do you even pitch an Inhumans story and not have a budget? That is a big screen idea. There's no way you can skimp on that concept. Absolutely no way.
Yeah, you can't. It won't work. And the storytelling has to be grand scale, because otherwise, why even pursue it anyway?
Yeah, their royalty and... Yeah, there's just so much that they didn't get right.
That was a weird one, too, because I feel like, I was never, like, a, crazy Inhumans fan. I don't know if you have a past with them, Art, but, like, it seems like, a concept, I guess, that doesn't really lend itself to normies as much. Like, I can't imagine, like, I don't know, like, I can picture a lot of friends, they wouldn't, like, I could try to explain that concept to them and they'd still be like, what the heck is this about?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always thought they're like a... Are they interdimensional or are they intergalactic? I forget where they're from. But they're kind of like an alien version of like mutants. Like they're from, another dimension or time. But they're like mutants. But I think did they later say that they were experiments? I forget how they explained what they are. Maybe somebody in the chat can help.
The one that I remember, and I think you showed me because it was Olivier did the artwork for, and he did a very good job, was the one where they explained that they were like, I guess ancient man, like Neanderthals or whatever, were experimented on by like aliens or interdimensional beings. And like that ended up becoming the ancestors for the Inhumans.
But I'm trying to think where they live. They don't live like here, do they?
No, because they're like royalty of another world, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like from another world.
You guys chime in the chat if you know. According to Wikipedia, says James, they did one 8-episode season of the Inhumans and it was televised. Average viewership was 2 million people per episode from various platforms. Muttman says, I think the Inhumans was just a rights play. They knew they couldn't make it right, but Disney wanted to establish the Inhumans as an X-Men replacement because Fox still had X-Men at the time.
Yeah, it's not a bad business move, but do it cinematically, don't do it on TV.
Yeah. Which they could have. I don't see why not.
Oh, I would love to see all that stuff. I love all those characters. The one guy with the, guy, I don't remember their names, but he's got the hooves.
Yeah.
He could just, like, put his hoof down and he could create, like, an earthquake.
It was pretty cool. There's some cool concepts there.
And then, of course, Medusa's cool. And then I always thought it would be really hard to do, what is his name?
Black Bolt?
Black Bolt, yeah, because how do you really do a show where he can't talk?
Yeah, and that's his whole, like, you'd have to stick to that. You'd also have to find an actor that's willing to not speak or show his face.
Yeah, I think in the show they had him show his face.
I think he might have spoken in the show, too.
And I think in the... Oh, shoot, what is that? And in the comic, he shows... What the hell? He shows his face.
But he's got that cool cowl with the whited out eyes.
What the hell is... Well, erasing's not in the cards for this page.
Oh, no.
It's smudging all over. I don't know what it is. What is that?
These are the stresses you can expect when creating your very own comic book.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's just a lot of extra pencil.
The guy who played Black Bolt looked cool.
He did look cool, yeah.
Muttman says he was the guy on Hell on Wheels, which is an excellent show. It is.
Yeah, I thought he looked cool. I thought the cast looked okay, but it wasn't the Inhumans.
Like you said, I just think it's a concept that doesn't quite lend itself to TV.
A low budget.
And I can't think of a single, now that you brought it up, I can't think of a single superhero TV show that I've liked, actually. And if you guys know of any good ones, I feel like maybe the street level vigilante stuff would do better. Do you remember that show art called The Cape?
No.
It was on very briefly in like the early maybe like 2015. If you guys remember this, let me know so I feel like I'm not going crazy, but it was the weirdest concept for a superhero show where it was this guy avenging, like, it was really weird. There was like a circus tie-in his power was that there was a cape, some kind of magical cape that gave him superpowers. And it was treated as a very serious concept.
Wait a minute, this sounds vaguely familiar.
So he would, don the cape and become this, like, vigilante. And I think there was, like, a revenge element. The bad guy wore a mask. And I think he was called the Mask. And, it was really bizarre. And I've never actually met anyone who watched it. But I remember, like, the cape played some part in, like... I don't know if it had like a deity in it or anything, like a Dr. Fate type thing, but like it starts to change you like the more you wear it.
My precious.
All these shows are proof that comics still trump live action. You can tell a story so well in comics, but you can't tell a story on the screen, says Muttman.
Yeah, without fundamentally changing some of the stuff.
And Durakan says, I considered watching The Cape, but I never got around to it.
You know what some of these premise that actually work is like Greatest American Hero, or do you remember? I held out a lot of hope for that Hancock.
Yes.
With Will Smith, and man, how do you mess those things up? Like Hancock was a pretty cool idea, and I thought, The Greatest American Hero was what it was. I mean, it was definitely of its time, but just. A guy getting these powers and then trying to figure out what to do with them and how to do what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't remember ever watching Greatest American Hero or whatever it was called, but there was I think there was a grizzled cop vet that kind of this is what you need to do with this stuff. You need to fight crime or whatever. So he kind of guides him. And steers him in the direction of what he needs to do.
The world's greatest theme song.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not.
I'm flying on air, or whatever the hell it is.
That was hilarious. That theme song's more well known than the show.
Man, they used that song in The Tick.
They did?
It was Arthur... there was an intervention, and his parents his family was convinced he was crazy, so they locked him up in some kind of insane asylum. And so the guy that's the shrink, what is that guy's name from News Radio? He was in some comedy troupe. He did the voice for Flick in that Ants or whatever.
Oh yeah, he's got a great voice.
The Disney movie. Oh,
I can't believe you remembered
What
that.
is that guy's name? Oh my gosh. But he was he was this creepy doctor, and he had a broken arm for some reason. It's in a sling. And so what he did is he kind of wanted to be a superhero. I guess that was the subtext. So in the quiet moments, he puts Arthur's suit on, and he's dancing around his office. He's thinking no one's seeing him, right? And he's drinking a Diet Coke, and so then he's like that song's going on, and he's singing it along with this believe it or not, and then he's spinning around with the because he's like a Mothman, right? He's got Arthur's clothes on, and so then it closes in on him because he's drinking the Diet Coke, and he goes, it's just me. And then he crushes the can like he's powerful. Believe it or not, it's just me.
Ray Thulu says, was it John Lovitz or Phil Hartman?
No.
Not Phil Hartman.
What is that guy's name? It's the guy that was the lead character in that News Radio. He was in Kids in the Hall. He was in a comedic troupe. Oh my gosh, what is that guy's name?
I don't know, but that show was hilarious.
Which show?
The Tick.
Oh, it was great.
I remember that where he was wearing his outfit. Dave Foley?
That's it. Dave Foley, yes.
Good job, Ray Thulu. Thank you.
Yes, Ray. You get my hearty thanks. And nothing more.
Spend it wisely.
Spend that money wisely. My thanks is like currency.
I'm surprised you haven't seen, I know that your feelings on it, but I'm surprised you haven't seen that new Tick show art.
I don't want to. I saw the preview for it. It looked horrible.
I actually don't know a single person who has watched it.
It's like I never picked up Dark Knight 2. I will never pick up any of those Watchmen spin-offs. There's just certain things I don't need to see.
Who is that even for, like, when you think about it?
I don't know. They just seem like cash grabs.
Yeah, I don't... We saw a couple of those, Watchmen books at the last con, and there's something really bizarre about them, like, just as a concept. Like, seeing Rorschach with Batman. Like, there's something very viscerally wrong about it.
Well, see, this is the problem. We ask this all the time. Who asked for that? Who wanted that? I know that that's not always the way you do these things, but if you're going to bring something back, there has to be some kind of demand for it, I would imagine.
I would hope.
But I don't know who ever was like, you know what would make the Watchmen really cool? If they teamed up with the DC Universe. Like, I'm a big fan of the DC Universe. I'm a big fan of Watchmen. But I never thought, like, oh, you know what? It would be a total geek out moment to see, you know, Ozymandias hanging out with Superman.
Yeah. That would be... That's a weird desire.
I never had a conversation with anybody that said that. Like, ooh, you know what would be cool? No one ever said that.
Yeah, I can't think of a single person either. Arthur has a question for you. Arthur Brown. The Uncanny Kodiak. He says, Art, I'm glad I caught you, buddy. I've meaning to ask, do you draw on an incline or flat on the table? Which do you believe is better?
There's two answers. To ink, it's better flat.
Really?
Yes. Because everything's gravity fed, so... And it hurts your back. I think that's why inkers mostly have worse posture and backs than pencilers. I've talked to Scott Williams. Scott Williams' back is destroyed. Mine was destroyed at birth because I got scoliosis and I got rods and fusion and everything else. But like penciling, you need to see it like this. So the more you can see it straight on, the better, because when you start moving things like this, I'm looking up at everything, so proportionally it's hard to see it. So I mean, if it's angled like this, I know I've seen Ed McGuinness, and his board is almost like this.
Really?
Yeah, so he's almost looking straight at it. And you know how, like, when you're in life drawing or when you're painting with an easel, they're almost straight up and down?
Yeah.
It's better because you can see things more true. And then, like this, the way it is here, everything is kind of... I'm looking up, so there's no way I can really proportionately draw it accurately because I'm not seeing it accurately. So,
interesting.
So what I do, gosh, who was it? I heard did this too. Oh my gosh, somebody famous does this. Maybe it was Alex Toth, because I get this. I have this here. It's kind of like my drawing board. It's a light box too, so I put this. You guys won't be able to see it. Maybe you see part of it. So I lean it up against my drawing board, and then I put my artwork on this. So you guys can't see me, but right now I'm looking perfectly at my artwork. So I don't see it at an angle. I mean, it is angled, but my eyes aren't seeing it at an angle.
You're seeing it direct.
Yeah, I'm seeing it directly. So it's also better for your posture. But I do believe that inking is kind of hunching over the work more so than like inking it at an angle. So I'd say, like, penciling is better leaned more, and inking is better flat.
Interesting.
It's hard to ink at an angle, because also inking, you kind of put your hand down as a base a lot, so you're putting your hand down and then moving. Penciling, I mean, you're not as rigid with putting your hands down, I don't think.
Let's see. Raythulu says, Art, use your Hollywood connections to force Jackson and Spielberg to get their butts and make the next Tintin movie.
I never saw the first one. Is it good?
I really liked it. I think you would like it.
I gotta see that. That's actually...
It's another movie I wanted you to see.
I'm looking... You know, I'm just so bored right now because nothing is entertaining me.
I will warn
That
you,
might be
though,
good to see.
Tintin's one you have to, like, watch.
Okay, I can't work and watch it.
It is a little difficult to listen to because there's a lot of action in it. There's a lot going on.
Okay.
Because I tried to do that recently and I did not know what was going on because all I could hear was car sounds and boats and stuff and people screaming.
Is it a period piece?
It is.
Oh, cool.
Which I think is the right choice for that.
I do too.
I think you'd like it a lot, actually. It's pretty good. And I think I got this page 36.
Don't tease.
Let me save this real quick. It was more faithful than Nelvana's animated series was, says Raythulu. Tintin was awesome, very faithful to the original.
Ooh. I'm sold. I'm gonna watch that this weekend then.
You'll like it. It's very good. And if you don't, then I'm overhyping it.
Then I'll kick you.
James says, give Disney time. It's inevitable Star Wars and Marvel will be crossing over for a film. What do you think of that?
They'll probably do it first in the comics.
Oh, yeah?
They'll do a crossover. Dr. Fate
No.
is a Jedi.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Does it?
No.
TM. I just trademarked it.
But now it does.
I own that.
Do you have a, like... Can you think of any superhero DC or Marvel that would bode well in the Star Wars universe, actually? This might be an interesting...
Doctor Strange?
Yeah. I don't know. His midi-chlorians.
It's clobbering time in the Star Wars universe. It's a giant rock guy that punches things.
The Thing. Use the Force.
Use the Force, Ben Grimm.
I would like that.
These are not the droids you're looking for. What the?
Dude.
It's clobbering time.
I don't know.
Fantastic Four hanging out. Flame on. Where'd she go? I can't see her.
That would be cool. This is actually starting to sound better.
It'd be so cool if if you could bring back like Harrison Ford in his prime. Like that's an invisible woman. I'd love to hear him say that line.
That like shocked face he makes.
Yeah, she just disappeared.
Arthur says, doesn't Doctor Strange have rings? So would he be strong in the Schwartz?
The Schwartz.
We're not talking about Spaceballs today.
We're not balls out right now.
James says, Disney is all about popcorn munching spectacles without substance. That sounds like a good review opener. How can you not have Iron Man and Vader going at it? I think Vader would probably destroy. I don't know.
I think Iron Man would destroy Vader.
Really?
Yeah.
But Vader has a robot body too.
Yeah, just take him apart. It won't kill him.
But like, I don't know.
You know what? I'll say one thing that the Marvel Universe did not do right. Okay.
I'm in.
Alright. This is the thing. It ticked me off in the first movie, and they never, ever fixed it. They always make Tony Stark, his armor changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, his armor can do this, his armor can do that. It's like the Swiss Army knife kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those repulsors don't do shit. They're like stun guns, right? He can shoot anybody with the repulsors and nothing happens.
They
like,
go, ooh, and fly.
Boom! And he just knocks them out. Zip, boom! Zip, boom! Well, I always thought like the repulsors were the badass weaponry of Tony Stark. I didn't think it was just the armor. I thought the armor was cool that he could take a blast and he could fly with it. But I always thought the main thing was those repulsors. And the one thing that they never got into is they go, oh, well, he's got like a nuclear reactor on his chest, right?
That's pretty powerful.
Right. Did he ever shoot that out of his hands? No. Like, wouldn't he just be able to annihilate people with those repulsors?
I mean, he should be.
Versus just a stun gun?
Yeah, because he'll hit people and they'll just fly back like as if they just got pushed.
Right. Like, I was under the impression he could knock down a entire city block with those things. Like, he could... You know what I mean? Like, he could destroy anything. Like, they were really powerful.
Yeah, they never really do anything like that.
They didn't seem all that powerful in the Marvel Universe. The cinematic universe.
Does he ever, like... Yeah, now that you mention it, like, I can't even think of him... Because does he demolish buildings with them? But then when he hits people, they're okay.
No, he just knocks them back, yeah, and then they seem like they're okay.
At one time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, Marvel, and Star Wars could have all have appeared in a single universe, says Draken.
Never. How dare you?
How do you feel about crossovers like that? Wow, it's really stormy out again.
I think when I was 12, I would have went yes. Now I'm just like, no. Just let Batman stay in Gotham. I don't even want to see him in the Justice League. There's some characters I just don't want to see crossed over with other characters. I think the Marvel Universe always worked the best because it was kind of like in Inception. It was always based on that. Mm-hmm. But some of the characters just feel like they don't belong together. And case in point, we were talking about this the other day. When you bring Shazam into the DC universe, you have to fundamentally change Shazam because Shazam is actually in some ways even cooler than Superman. Mm-hmm. So, he's a kid that can become Superman. So then, instead of having the wisdom of Solomon, which we talked about, he becomes kid-like. Well, that's not the character. The character, he has all the other attributes, but they have to ignore the one. They have to make him kid-like so he's not like Superman. So when they put these characters into these universes, they seem like they have to change the character to make them work within the universe. Because also, to make Superman, or to make another Justice League character cool, like Vixen or some, C-D-list character, they have to have them somehow put Superman in his place. Yes. Or they have to take Superman out quickly so then these other characters can step up. And that's horrible, right? Like, you're making Superman worse than he can be just so you can create a universe. So you're cheapening a character, a beloved character, just to make these other characters work in a universe. And I just think it's asinine. It's stupid. Like, why would you want to make a character less than what the character could be just so you could tell a Justice League story?
And it's so unnecessary because...
Wow, that was good.
It was good.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, and.
Yes, and.
It's unnecessary anyway because you don't have to put down another character to make one shine. Just like you can give a compliment without being at the expense of someone else. Superman can still be cool for insert any other character to be cool. Right. You don't have to be like at the expense of Superman. It's stupid.
The reason they do it is because it's easier. It's easier writing. Because the other way it would be more of a challenge, right? So how do you make Superman look cool and Vixen in the same storyline?
Have Superman say she's cool or think she's cool by doing something neat, and then you're like, well, Superman thinks she's cool.
But see, there's yeah, exactly. There's that, and there's also just write one character that has its strengths, and then the other one, it's not the same. But you don't diminish the one. Mm-hmm. You find out how Vixen can do something that Superman can't. But I don't mean like that she has the best Superman at being Superman. You know what I mean? What makes her unique and something that she can do that he can't do. But like I said, but not by taking away his abilities or besting him at his own abilities. Something different. And I always thought that's reason why you have these team books anyways. You don't have these team books because they're all the same character and they can all do the same thing. But that's how they write them.
Yeah, they don't. Not every character has to compete for being the best version of Superman.
Yeah, it's like girl power. Like, oh well, the only way you can make girl power work is to put a man in his place in the story, or vice versa. But you can make them both awesome. You know what I mean? You don't have to have one at the expense of the other.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they're both heroes. And that's fundamentally the problem I had with Batman versus Superman. Well, who are you asking people to cheer for? They're both cool. Superman and Batman are awesome.
Yeah, like, you don't really have to do that.
Usually you cheer for the hero and you boo the villain. Well, who's the villain in that scenario?
I couldn't even tell you, because then also, like, it does put... Whatever character that wins doesn't really win, because they are put in kind of a bad light, actually.
Yeah, if Superman wins Batman, then it makes Superman... It's like when you have a big guy, even though the little guy was picking on him and making his life hell, and the big guy clobbers the little guy. You know, he deserved it, but everybody goes, why did you beat up on that little guy?
It doesn't look good.
Yeah, it never looks good. You're never going to win that scenario.
Arthur says, since Captain Marvel for the 1940s in public domain, why hasn't anybody moved to use it just without the trademark title?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Be Captain Marvel.
I think that some of it is that it, and I'm not sure about this, but that the reason they publish it and the reason they put it out there is it's because it's their version. So it's like Disney can do, we were just talking about Alice in Wonderland. They can do Alice in Wonderland and they can trademark Alice in Wonderland if you deviate from the initial. So even if it's like well, I don't know if Alice in Wonderland's public domain, but even if it's a licensed thing, like Pooh Bear, like it's what Disney can license and trademark. It's their version of Pooh Bear. I think it still works with the license that they own or option, but they can still copyright that. So somebody told me...
So their version is copywritten.
Right. So that version of that character is copywritten. They don't own the copyright to, I don't know, Pooh Bear, right? But that version of it, they do. So if somebody uses that Disney version of Pooh Bear, they can sue them.
Somebody talked about that concerning a while back, just to back up your point. The original Oz books, the original likeness of the Witch of the West is actually like in public domain. But the Hollywood version, the green one that everybody recognizes, you can't like recreate that. And the book one looks completely different. Like, she's not green, she's got like a big hat, she's small. So, like, you could market that version of the Witch of the West had you wanted, just not, you know, the big production MGM one.
You have an idea about, like, using witches and stuff like that. That's still pretty cool.
We talked about it.
We should do it.
Art and I have a witch team idea. And that could be one of the witches there. Now that you mentioned it, Alice in Wonderland must be in some form of public domain, because there's so many different versions of that story. Like, people adapt that a lot. It's a popular one.
I don't know if you pay the licensing fee, but then it's your version of Alice in Wonderland that you can copyright. But you have to vary from, like, somehow you have to vary from the original to do that.
Yeah.
Like, somebody told me if there's like a significant change that separates your version from the original. Like, if you did a true adaptation of it, you couldn't copyright any of it. But if you veer from it and make it your own somehow, then you can. That's why a lot of times you'll see like source material and you go, why did they vary from it? The original was so cool or whatever. It's they do that because it becomes their own.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because I remember even...
Wait a minute.
Oh, what?
Is that why they do that with book adaptations?
Yeah, they'll even change names of core, like the original character. that's in the novel. You know what I mean? Like why did they change the name of the lead character? You know, because Ripley in Aliens isn't the original character's name. So they change it so then they can copyright, I guess, that version of it.
That's interesting. I always wonder how stuff like that works just because there's so many, like Cinderella, just as an example, is a story that like everybody's marketed, but nobody's really tried to do, on a grand scale, there's been a couple. Nobody's tried to like tackle doing a Cinderella movie that would take on like Disney's take on it. I guess just because the competition would be difficult, but
what they'll do is they'll do like modern day Cinderella type stories, and they'll tie it loosely into the mythology. You know, I don't know, for some reason I'm thinking Anne Hathaway did something like that.
I think she
some
did.
Stupid, you know, like you know, it's like the contemporary version of like the glass slipper or something. I don't know.
Just picture her falling and like being like, "I'm just me.
I'm just a girl." But I'm not.
Durakan says, then with Superman, for example, when he hits copyright, he'll enter public domain month by month, and you can't use his current stuff until it enters. Lewis Carroll has to be in public domain, says Arthur.
Yeah, I think also there is something about you have to stay published, you have to stay relevant every couple years, or like things do slide into public domain. So that's why Disney will dust off like certain characters or stuff. And they used to have this, and it was all part of the marketing campaign where they go, from the archives, you know, like we're gonna dust this off, or they call it the treasury whatever, and so then they'll do a you know, new version of like Rescuers or something.
That's the Disney Vault or whatever.
The Disney Vault, that's it, yeah.
Which is kind of what we were talking about, like you suspected is why they did like Dumbo and stuff like that. It's just kind of keeping it in Disney's clutches, I guess. But is Dumbo... I just thought about that. Is Dumbo based on anything, or is that a Disney creation?
I think all the stuff that Disney has were based on books. I don't think any of it's original. I can't think of one original idea that they've ever, like IP, like classic IP that they've ever done. I mean, other than like Mickey Mouse or like the core, you know, kind of Disney characters.
Yeah. I know that like 101 Dalmatians and all that stuff that's lesser known isn't original.
Yeah, like you know, the Pooh stuff, Mary Poppins, all the classic nursery rhymes or whatever.
Durakan says every 10 years the logos on comic characters change. It's because you can't maintain a trademark like that in perpetuity. It's a way to skirt the issue.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Sometimes it sucks though because you get attached to those logos like just iconically. Like did you ever have a favorite like DC or Marvel logo art?
Yeah, when they went to, was it the New 52 logo? I was like, I absolutely hated that thing.
Was that with the like flopped over? It was like a D and a C, but like
it was like a paper that flopped over. Like you were turning a page, was it like that?
Yeah, and it was like blue and like a ghost. That thing was ugly, actually.
I thought, you know, they had done that just for cinematic reasons, so that maybe if it was animated it would look cool, like you flipped a page or something. But I never even saw it animated, so I thought it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I didn't either. I don't even think they use it in the I don't think they use that logo in the film stuff at all, which is strange.
Yeah, they never did.
And the Marvel one uses the old... I don't know if the Marvel logo's changed in a while. It's still just the red bar, right?
Yeah, the Marvel logo was never that much anyway, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's pretty plain.
But the DC one with the circle with the planet and the stars, I thought that one was pretty cool.
That was my favorite too. Draken says current public domain is up around 1930s, so I guess that's why Lewis Carroll's and stuff it doesn't fall into that because that's before. And Aaron says I love those blacks art, just beautiful.
Well, thank you.
They are. Look at that. The crash through ceiling detail. It's gonna be a very beautiful book, you guys.
Yeah, I'm very proud of this. This is definitely a labor of our love.
This book is more, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, this book is more beautiful than most Marvel books that are on shelves right now. And I know it doesn't sound like it's going up against much because we saw a Hawkeye book that was beyond amateur hour recently.
What was that? It was like how to draw a Hawkeye or something, right?
Well, remember even the interiors, they were by some no-name person. Comics have a special thing where it's normal public domain plus 20 years or something like that because the courts didn't want to extend it anymore overall, so just made it special for a few cases, says Durakin. Wow, you know all about this.
If we ever have a legal problem, we'll call Durakin.
And according to Raythulu, Dumbo was a novel by Helen Aberson and Harold Pearl.
Yeah, I don't think Disney ever created anything original, like even those Rescuers Down Under and what were the Great Mouse Detective and all those. I think those are all optioned books.
I think you're right. Because it's like a series or something, right?
I believe they were, yeah.
I'm writing down something new on my to-do list.
See if we can do Alice in Wonderland.
Everybody has an Alice in Wonderland story. When I was in school, they made us do a pitch book based on a new take on Alice in Wonderland because it was such a common thing.
Alice in Underland.
There's so many different versions of it.
I like that all these stories are like, it's a young girl goes into a crazy world. You know, like the Oz books and stuff.
Wendy, Dorothy, Alice.
It's crazy.
Yeah, female protagonists like to go to strange worlds. They got their heads in the cloud. Draken says, I took a little business law in college that covered copyright a little, and I've gotten into arguments with artists who think they know more about copyright than they actually do, so I've looked into it. Well, it sounds like it's paid off.
Well, I would never pretend to know more than you.
Yeah, likewise, this has been a lesson.
I'll pretend other things, but not that. All right. Well, I think I have a couple more blacks. I could ink this, but I'm on the fence about this. I might have to resolve it a little bit more with pencil.
Look at that blast.
But you guys, like, this is probably going to be thicker, but I'm going to work it out on a Xerox just to make sure. And then these overlapping lines I'm going to take out. So some of the stuff will be cleaned up a little bit better, the final version. But yeah, this is pretty much it.
Pretty cool. That thing is beautiful.
And then I will... Well, last night I worked a little bit on that page 36. But today I will get to start on a new page.
Yay.
Yay. Moving forward. Always. Onwards and upwards. So, you want to wrap this up? Put this in the rear view?
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks for joining us, you guys. And, well, wait, we just got a super chat. F Google just sent a super chat for $2. Thank you, F Google. And he asked, what's the next convention? SDCC?
If I am going to do San Diego Comic Con this year, it's probably gonna come together last minute because I don't have any plans right now. Sometimes what happens is, my buddy at SDCC will go, a table's opened up, we'd like you to fill it, or I'll have a friend that's like, hey, you want a room with me, and I'll do that. But as of right now, I don't really have any plans to do that. So no SDCC for me. How about you, Taylor?
I could not make SDCC this time around, unfortunately.
For some reason, it's hard for me to say this time. SDCC.
I think I said SBDC when I read it, so don't feel bad.
ABCD.
And Uncanny, Arthur Brown, the Uncanny Kodiak's art is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We did research. I had that whole rooftop drawn, that ceiling drawn before, and I realized I drew it like it was concrete, like it actually had a thick, like concrete edge around it. So I did some research. Always do your research. It helps.
I like it. I think it turned out really cool.
Yeah, so it looks cool. And that'll be a night sky above them.
It would also make a good trading card. It's pretty BA.
Well, thank you. So, did we get all our plugs in? We got all our stuff?
Let's get in the last of the plugs. Don't forget, if you haven't picked up Black and White, which this page is the beautiful page 49 of, you can get that in the description, along with the last copies of Oodles and Doodles and other stuff too. Art's first hardcover art book. Link in the description. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. And we'll see you next week.
Isn't this Greg Capullo cover?
Why, it is. And you could get that Greg Capullo cover. It's a variant cover. And you can get if you want to not miss out on the original Art T. Bear cover with colors by Kyle Ritter, you can get them in a bundle.
Yeah, I think we have both covers, but I think we're still selling the Greg Capullo one separately as well. So I want to get some plugs in for this. And this is the lettered version, you guys, of the book.
Ooh.
Look at how thick it is. That means
no spoilers. Ooh.
the majority of the book is done.
We're close. We're closing in.
Look at this. Look at this. It's all lettered and colored.
Yeah, this campaign is going to be up for maybe another month.
Yes.
And after that, your chance to get Black and White Volume 1 will be coming to a close.
Yeah, so thanks, guys. Oh, gosh, I'm yawning. Sorry. Thanks, guys, for tuning in and hanging out with us and making this, I don't know, it gets a little lonely, doesn't it?
It does. It's lonely at the shack.
It's lonely at the shack.
But productive.
Yeah, but you guys make it better. So thanks, guys. Have a good one.